I kind of hit a point coming while I was doing Hairspray, which I'd been so associated with for such a long time, of thinking you really have to break the mould, the next thing that you're going to do, and challenge people's perceptions of what you do and what you're capable of doing and so on. And there is no more challenging a role, I don't think, than Sweeney Todd. It's musical Marmite. Some people love it, some people don't get it at all. I'm clearly in the former category. I think it's Steve Sondheim's masterpiece, and I think it's the best role for a man that he's written, for the breadth of what is expected, both in terms of the emotional arc of the role and vocally. It lies in a different key than I normally sing in. I couldn't have sung it until now. I don't think I would have had the musical chops, and I wouldn't have had the acting chops either. So I wanted to give myself the biggest challenge of my career up to this moment, and to do it properly. When I saw the show, I saw John Doyle's fantastic actor-musician production on Broadway, in fact, with Patti LuPone and Michael Severus, and I just thought it was fantastic. That's the only performance of Sweeney I've ever seen. I've only heard it prior to that. And I saw it and I loved it, but I wanted in my head to hear an orchestra and to see a big ensemble on the stage, and that's what we've set out to do here. The thing with the music in all of Sondheim's work, and particularly in Sweeney, is that it takes a long time to get it. Once you've got it, it can't ever be anything else. He's so exact, he's so brilliant, and all of his words, all of his harmonies are really, really painstakingly thought out by him. And once you've done it and you hear it right, it hurts when you get it wrong, so you don't. But it is a long process doing that, and it's thrilling. The whole rehearsal process, first of all, working with Imelda, and thank God she said yes. 3 years ago, I asked her on my radio show if she'd be interested in playing Mrs. Lovett, and she said it was a role she'd always wanted to, and I said, sadly, you'd have to do it opposite me. And she was fine about it, and we've developed such a great relationship. So being with her, we started work a week early before the rest of the company, just the two of us and the piano. And it's been the most creative, sparky, brilliant experience. It's interesting, people think that Steve Sondheim's work's always been critically acclaimed and he doesn't get an audience. When he came down to see the show, we were talking about the critics and how well we'd been received. And I asked him what his three worst reviews, what were they for? And he said, without hesitation, West Side Story, Gypsy, and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Three classics, certainly two of which, I know he only wrote the lyrics for, but two of the greatest musicals of all time, of any era, West Side Story and Gypsy, and extraordinary. And they were groundbreaking at the time, which is what a lot of Steve's shows are. They're innovative and they're groundbreaking, and it's not until they're revisited that they get an audience, that audiences become more accepting of his work. So I do think there's a commercial audience for Sweeney Todd. I don't think it's huge. I don't think it'll be a 25 years later we'll be celebrating the production of Sweeney Todd at the Adephi. But I think that without question it's his masterpiece. I think it deserves in his lifetime to have a big production, to be done as well as it can be done, but an interesting and an innovative production, which I think this is. I think for as far as my fans are concerned, the ones that have made the journey down here have absolutely embraced the show and really, really come away with something special from the theatre. And I hope London audiences will as well. You can never second guess what audiences are gonna want. Last year, I honestly thought there would be an audience for Love Story, which I first saw here down in Chichester and then co-produced in the West End. We didn't find an audience, and it was a good show, you know, great performances, a lovely, lovely production. One thing I've learned in this business in the years I've been doing it, you can't second guess what will make people come to see in the theatre. I'm not a producer in any way, shape or form, but I do have a working knowledge of this business from the amount that I've done. And a lot of it gained through doing my own shows, doing concerts and so on. And because of the fortunate position that I find myself in, I can help with productions, you know. Not that it helped particularly with Love Story, but it was I see something in it because I believe in it. I want to get an audience, if I can, to be interested. You would never ever go into producing to make money. It's never going to do that unless you're dedicated to it and you only do that and brilliant at it, and you have money to lose as well. It's a huge gamble. So it's about as altruistic as you can get, and it's very interesting being on the other side of the boardroom as well. You know, from the actors, and understanding the different challenges that are faced by producers that actors aren't aware of. You know, it's a healthy thing to have done. Do you know, people do come and ask for advice, and you kind of. You do keep at it, go to as much theatre and work in as much theatre as you possibly can, and all of those things. And I feel kind of, it's a bit superficial what you can say, because there are no answers for it. It's work hard, it's go to the auditions, it's when you're in work, it's to make a good impression with people, so that the people who are going to be casting other shows like you and like the work you do and like your attitude. Too often I've seen people who will drop shows at the drop of a hat, not go the extra mile to keep the show running. Now, we all get sick, but there are times when you bite the bullet and you go on. There is a lack of discipline as well, quite often, within new people coming into the theatre, and it's a highly disciplined profession. That is what you learn. That it's about turning up. It's about knowing your work. It's about being good with other people, and working hard, and neglecting some other areas of your life, like enjoying yourself, because you've got to do a show. That's my advice: is be prepared to make the sacrifices that you inevitably have to make to work here.
David Bedella, when I interviewed him, said, "Don't be a dick."
Yeah, really.
So many people. I mean, he said, every single situation where you're stressed or think something's going wrong, you can do it solve it with love, as opposed to.
I think that you have to have a sense of perspective when you're working in the theatre. You have to understand that you're not saving somebody's life. You're not doing open heart surgery. You're not working down a coal mine. But there are stresses and there are challenges. And if you can rise to those with good humour and with discretion and with intelligence and with character, that's what you need to do. And know when to walk away from something as well. And know when to go, do you know what? There's life as well, and not be too, immersed in it, but have a real life as well. Yeah.
Talking of knowing when to walk away from something, Kismet is obviously a big show you're involved in, which you've talked before in interviews that I've read this week. That didn't go very well. And how on earth do you keep that sense of sort of focus and professionalism when everything is, you're on a sinking ship in a way?
When that happens, when you find yourself in a production that is less than you'd hoped it would be, first of all, you realise it will end. The greatest philosophy in the world, as we know, is this too shall pass. And there are only two options. You throw the towel in, or you find it very funny and you just go, what the hell? And with Kismet, I just did that. I just went, this is an extraordinary situation. It's for a very finite period of time. Let's just roll with it. And I made some great friendships from it. You know, Alfie Bow was in the production, Faith Prince, and it was an experience I wouldn't have missed for the world. Not one I would repeat either. But you have to have a sense of humour, and I think it's important when you're in a company. Getting back to that point of how do you, what advice to give. It's to, and if you're in a principal role, I think it's important to lead by example. So you turn up on time, and if you're not complaining in a tech that's going on into week 7, and it's all going terribly wrong, then no one else is in a position to complain either, because you're leading by example. So that's another thing I do believe in. All the DVDs that I've done have been just one night. It's not like an amalgamation of different performances. It just happens that night. So there's a sort of frisson in the air always, because if it goes wrong, then that's what's going to be on the tape. And we'd never filmed in Birmingham Symphony Hall, which is beautiful. And I'm really proud of the show that we put on, and the DVD really does capture the atmosphere of the evening, and the atmosphere that kind of generally pervaded throughout the tour, which was great fun, hard work, a lot of diverse music, and yeah, I'm very proud of it.